Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond, where we're celebrating our history, our heritage, our culture, in our own authentic voice. And today on set with us, we have Olu. Welcome to the stuff, Olu.
Hey, how you doing?
Tell people your full name, because I didn't want to mess it up.
Well, I'm originally from Nigeria. My full name is Oluwashemi Lore Adebamilaya Ibi Rogba.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It's got to have a meaning.
Well, my first name means God has favored you.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's the root of a Yoruba language. Yeah.
Mhm.
My parents are Yoruba.
Okay. So, Olu, where are you from, man? Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland,
Okay.
right outside D.C., like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I went to DeMatha Catholic High School. I played soccer there for 4 years. And, yeah, that was a
Okay.
good life.
So what was the family dynamics growing up in a Nigerian household, man?
Well, I mean, you're surrounded by the culture of Americans, and you want to adapt to that culture. But when you
Okay.
come back to the household, you're surrounded by a Nigerian culture as well. And even the smell, my mom's always cooking Nigerian food. And so that's all we ate. We embraced our culture from home. So, like, even when you go to school, you want to adapt to the culture of your friends, right? But then
Yeah.
you come back home and your parents, like, sort of enforce that Nigerian culture on you. So I come back home and tell my parents, oh, I'm American. And they say, no, you're Nigerian. Like, that's what they always say. Every single Nigerian parent would always say that. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So going to school, when people first meet you, can I distinct the difference between being Nigerian and African American, or?
Yeah, everybody always, like, pretty much recognizes that I'm Nigerian, some type of African.
Okay.
Yeah, especially since I'm pretty dark-skinned, so yeah.
So do they ask, what are you?
Yeah, they say, what are you? And I say, I'm from Nigeria, yeah.
Now, once they find out that you're not black, how
Mm-hmm.
does that play out? Do people see you differently or anything like that?
I guess there's a certain expectation from you if you're gonna be black or act black in some type of sense. When they recognize that I'm African, I guess the sort of stigma is that I'll act more like a white person than like African American. And I guess that's how you're raised as an African, because I'm not saying it's sort of racist, but I'd say, like, in Africans in general have this sort of idea of what African Americans are like. So all they see on the news is sort of like
Yeah.
the stereotype. So then when I come home, they want me to act more like your white friends. They want me to hang out with more of my white friends because they see, oh, they're the right, proper, well-mannered, educated sort of friends that they want me to have. And so that's the type of culture I'd adapt, I guess.
So let me ask you this. That's pretty intriguing. So
Yeah.
so what is their perception, with two parts, right? Your white counterparts, if I can use that language, and then your black counterparts, their impression of Africa. Because I'm sure, just like, some of the things that you see from a African perspective, you see about American blacks or American culture and vice versa. So what it did, like, you live in huts, what are those kind of things?
Actually, every time they ask if I've been to Nigeria before, they say, where do you stay? I'd be like, I stay in a house. And they're like, you don't stay in the village? I say, no, I have a house there. So yeah, that's mainly both perspectives, honestly. So there's sort of like this sort of shaded, like, primal expectation of the African way of living, when in reality, like, we're very advanced and we have a lot of technology down there, very, like, advanced buildings and everything. So,
Now,
yeah.
does that, and has your mom or dad kind of share with you how to answer that? Do you go home and say, Mom, when you was a young kid, say, hey, Mom, they think we live in a hut or we live in a village, whatever that is?
Well, I think that my parents were more surrounded by that generation of the village because they were raised around their grandparents, who,
Okay.
of course, they lived in the village at some point, and they'd visit as well. But also they come back, they'll go between the village and between, like, the main city. So they had some type of exposure to that. But me, when I go to Nigeria, it's not really that type of lifestyle anymore unless you go very deep in areas that I don't go. My parents usually stay in Lagos, the
Yep,
capital
Lagos,
of
yeah.
Nigeria, when we go there. So that's a very advanced place, like the main city. So that's not something that you see around. But they have some experience with that, I'd say, yeah.
So, and I like you because you're a guy, Lou, you're a guy in the STEM field. So,
Yeah.
computer engineering person. Let me ask you this. I want to dispel a couple of myths. Did you notice that you was pretty good in math, or the STEM fields, like the science, the technology, engineering, and math, or?
Well, my mom noticed, because, like, I'd
Okay.
always want to refute the fact that I was good at math, because I never wanted to do engineering. I'd be like, that's so hard. You have to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work. But yeah, I'd admit, like, I'm pretty good at math, pretty good in the sciences. I've always been pretty good. So my mom always, like, sort of edged me towards that. sort of convincing me to do a lot of summer programs, a lot of like search for a lot of programs that relate to STEM field. So I did those like I'd say 3 out of the 4 years of high school summers. I did a lot of programs oriented towards that and gained more experience in that and learned. When I did a program at University of Maryland during my freshman going into my sophomore year of high school, I did a project where I like programmed a robot for the first time with computer coding.
Wow.
And that sort of like let me know that computer engineering coding is something that I want to do with my career. It was really fun.
So now you're on the Villanova campus. You're a freshman, right?
Yeah, I'm a freshman.
So what was the transition being in your major's computer engineering?
Computer engineering, yeah.
So what are some of the things you played soccer?
Yeah.
I take it you don't play soccer now.
I don't
right?
play soccer
You don't play
here,
soccer
no.
now. So what are people's first impression of you when you come onto this campus?
Well, I mean, at first, of course, I'm sort of tall, athletic looking, so they'd assume I'm an athlete, and I'd say, not really, computer engineering major. But as soon as I tell them my major, they're sort of surprised in some sort of sense. Like, they wouldn't expect that from me. But in terms of transition of the culture, I'd say it was pretty straightforward. I went to private school, middle school, and high school, and also elementary school, rather. So, but the dynamic of my middle school was sort of like that of Villanova in terms of like demographics. So I adjusted pretty well. So it wasn't too hard, I'd say.
So how are you able to, because where do you fit far as in a classroom? Are you one of 10 persons of African?
One of 20, maybe. In my computer engineering class, it's like, I'd say 4 out of 20 of us.
Okay.
African American, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are there any expectations that people have of you that you won't succeed or anything like that? Any barriers you have to fight from
Not
that
amongst my
perspective?
peers, actually.
Okay.
But, or at least not often amongst my peers. Like
Okay.
every once in a while you run into that one person who sort of has like some sort of ignorant mindset or something. But I mean, that's how you run into everybody. Like, but I guess everybody also wants each other to succeed because computer engineering is a very hard like major and it takes a lot of time and effort. And like, it's a very tight-knit community, especially like the engineering community. Everybody knows everybody because everybody wants to help each
Okay.
other succeed. And that's something really common to the Villanova engineering community because we have a very high percentage of engineers who start out as engineers that go on to still be engineers the following year and the year
Wow.
after that. So, yeah.
So, because right now we're not great when it comes to the STEM fields in America. So, what are some of the ways that you can encourage young people of color to get in the STEM fields? Like you said earlier, that you perceive math as being hard to some degree. That's hard, or engineering being hard. What are some of the tidbits or counsel you can give young people of color to get in those STEM fields?
Well, I'd say young people of color learn more from seeing and examples, and there aren't that many examples of like black men, professional men in the engineering world, or even the medical world, or some type of advanced profession like that. So honestly, it's very hard for them to sort of take up that idea of you shouldn't be in the NBA, you shouldn't be in the NFL, you shouldn't try to have some sort of talent or sing. You should go out and try to program some type of robot that you know nothing about. That's sort of hard to convince them to do, you know. They need to see an example of some type of figure, some type of model to do that. So as hard as it is, I'd say anybody who is in the professional world of color to reach back into their community, sort of like spread the knowledge, spread the word about what it actually is to be an engineer. And engineering is something about, the thing about engineering is that you create, it's something personal to you and you use all your tools, all your ideas that come to you to create. So it's something that's a lot of people of color could really do if they actually knew more about, you know.
And as we wrap up, just quickly, what do you see your future doing, like robotics or things like that, creating code algorithms?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in the business school actually, and I'm leaning more towards like the financial world. The financial world depends on a lot of like computer engineers for their software and stuff. So I'm thinking about doing something in that type of realm, or maybe some type of media outlet, something like that. But I'm only a freshman, just turned 18, so I don't really know, honestly.
You got a lot of time ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know what? This stuff always get good. We run out of time. Hey, we thank you for tuning in with 28 Days and Beyond, where we celebrate our history, our heritage, our culture, and our own authentic voice. And once again, we'd like to thank Alou for coming to the set today. And we ask you to tune in again. Hey, appreciate you coming to the set. Thank you.